Welcome to Business with Beers, a podcast for business owners who want to scale their business to massively grow their income and contribution by investing in people, process, and technology. This week, we have Brian Johnson, the founder and president of Mailshark, a direct mail advertising company. Mailshark was named one of America's fastest growing companies 9 years in a row by Inc. magazine from 2011 to 2019. They're headquartered in Pennsylvania out of a 170,000 square foot facility. They do over $35 million in sales with 110 employees. Welcome to the show, Brian.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, great. Well, this wouldn't be Business with Beers if I didn't ask you. It's not COVID, and we're at a bar, sitting down, having some drinks. What are we drinking?
I love the Dogfish Head. 60-minute would be a favorite, but being a Pennsylvania guy, Yuengling Lager is also more of the everyday beer, but the good old roots of Pottsville, Pennsylvania, and how Yuengling spread. Talking to you about business and seeing a startup go to a national, maybe global phenomenon in Yuengling Lager, that's pretty cool too. So those would probably be my top two.
Okay, it's the oldest beer in America, right?
Yeah, it is. I've toured.
They're family owned.
Toured the brewery, and it's, if you're ever in the area, it's a really neat tour. The Prohibition era comes into the tour, and they go back so far that it's there's some fascinating history.
Oh wow, yeah, I haven't been up there, but that's definitely probably one worth checking out.
Yeah, for sure.
Great, cool. So to get started, share your story, who you are, what you do, how'd you get into the direct mail, business?
Yeah, great. So I've had Mailshark now for about 12 years, and so when I graduated college from Loyola University in Baltimore, Maryland, 2002, I went into retail, which was Boscov's department stores, and they have about 50 locations. And I went through their executive training program. So in trying to figure out who we all want to be in life, sometimes I went back to my hometown and took a job with a retailer that gave me almost as much as I got from my education in college. It was just a real good introduction to real world business, and loved my 4 years that I spent with Boscov's and got to see the store side and the buying side, and just got some real good fundamentals to business. And then at the age of 26, got the itch to start my own business. And so how I kind of transitioned into direct mail was I bought a money mailer franchise. And very similar to, for those that don't know what money mailer is to a Valpak or Clipper magazine, and took my
shared mail package.
It's a shared mail package, okay. Correct. Yep. And so I bought Allentown, Pennsylvania as a territory, and gave my 2 weeks notice, and away I was as an entrepreneur, and borrowed my wife's life savings of $10,000 to purchase all I could afford, and wasn't attracted. I studied marketing in college, and liked just general business in general. It was a gut feel that I want to get into business for myself, and like the marketing idea. So money mailer felt like a natural fit. And so I did that in 2006, made that transition to a money mailer franchisee. And like many startup businesses, even though it was a proven franchise system, I really, for 2 years, was doing the daily grind, knocking on doors, selling to business. It's a B2B type approach. I sell advertising to people that want to get into the envelope in the shared mail platform. And around 2008, I was just starting to find my way. And there's a lot we learn as we enter any business, and just start for the first time at a young age to figure out, how do I do business? And there's so many components to that question in general. But from there, where the history progresses into Mailshark is around 2008. I walked into a pizza shop and gave my normal sales pitch about the envelope and shared mail. And the owner of a 20-store pizza chain happened to be sitting in the dining room and was attracted to a calendar that I had in my hands, which was unrelated really to my advertising sales pitch. But like many visionaries and business owners that have had a lot of success, he called me over, sat down, was one of the nicest people, was asking me, was I helping his business currently with their marketing, and then really just wanted to share with me his vision for what he wanted for marketing. And so One of the early lessons I learned was listening, and understanding the pinch points and, what is it that these businesses really want. And what this pizza shop owner shared with me was the recipe for what Mailshark was about to be and has become today. And it just touched on so many very industry specific pinch points that pizza shop owners face that shared mail wasn't touching on, and other marketers just weren't. He had been in the pizza world for 20 years and told me later that he shared what he wanted with a lot of advertisers, but nobody delivered. So
nobody took action. What were those pain points?
The pain points were cash flow,
yep.
Wanting to do solo direct mail, wanting to hit people with a pizza menu, let's say, but not being able to afford it. And also an interesting thing that really has scaled Mailshark in so many different industries as well then is the consistency in marketing. So yep. Having pieces hit homes every week or on a weekly schedule of the business owner's choice really helped the predictability of sales. So if you have marketing hitting at a nice pace every single week, you could, in the pizza world, you could predict how much food to buy for that week. You could predict how to staff your restaurants. And leading up to where Mailshark kind of started to gain some traction, there weren't a lot of options for this. You would get a big pop of marketing and then wait a month. And in doing that, you'd also pay for that marketing all at once. And then potentially on a Friday night, you got hit with tons of business, didn't have enough food or the staff wasn't ready. And you ended up, as we all know in business now, you get usually one chance to impress a customer. And it became very detrimental that the stores couldn't handle. The marketing was quote unquote working. It was driving the phone to ring. At the same time, it was hurting the businesses greatly because they couldn't afford to put the money out. Then they were getting crushed on a Friday night, and then the business would start to go down from there.
Capacity, they couldn't produce anymore, right? So even though the phone's ringing, they had to tell people no.
Right. Yep. And they didn't know what to expect. It was hard to know how much the phone would ring. And so that recipe, one of the primary pieces was that business owner, the 20-store pizza shop owner, gave me that day was to spread it out and have a nice trickle of advertising hitting in his desired way every week of the year, and to be able to spread out the payments. And so that was what he fed me on a platter. But what does that mean practically, and how do I take that and make it a business? So
okay.
It evolved from there. And so I guess what I'll share next is just to kind of fast forward the history a little bit of Mailshark and where it went from that important moment in my life. And you'll hear me talk today a lot about game-changing moments, and it comes in all sorts of capacities, with people you meet, with decisions you make. These game-changing moments are what I reflect on often in my journey. So where we went was I had a notebook full of desires from this pizza shop owner, but didn't know how to execute. But there's this thing in entrepreneurs, this burning, relentless passion to just, go find something that you believe in and somebody else believes in, and you think you can connect the dots. And so I kind of scoured the country and found a printer in Houston, Texas that could even give me a price quote to start to fundamentally build out the business model that was described to me. And once I got that quote, I really just started to play with some things on paper. So came up with what the business owner gave me on paper, and then went back and got the chance to meet with him again. And there's these aha moments or the game-changing moments. And, was it a home run business plan on paper? I don't think that's possible. I think there's so much experimentation that has to happen. But we sat there and I showed him the pricing, what he told me and what I reflected on and brought back to him. And he said, wow, can you really do this? This is what I've been asking for 20 years. Are you sure you can do this? And I said to myself, well, internally, I have no idea, hopefully, but outwardly, I said, yeah, I really am confident in this. And I think that I can execute for you. And, he gave me a 10-store test order, and away we went. And there were so many juicy pieces to the progression of this that, kind of gets it to where it is today. But, it was that was the launch point, and the the marketing strategies that still live in Mailshark today are, after we do 10 weeks of a menu for this pizza shop owner, he had the vision to say, then I want to do a different product and go back and hit those same people with a postcard. And then I want to go back and hit those same people with a magnet. And I want to have this annual program where I can spread out mailings every week of the year. I can set a budget for the year and say, here's my weekly amount that I can afford. And pizza shops especially, and many small businesses think about their cash every week.
Yep.
Cash in, cash out. And so that, we just started to see very early on in March of 2008, after doing the test, getting the results, that there was something here. And again, thanks to the vision of that pizza shop owner, we really started to hit on those core pain points of cash flow, predictability, and results, a nice incremental growth of sales over time.
Yep. And it sounds like you become kind of their outsourced marketing company, right? I mean, you're helping them put the plan together, an annual budget, help with design, rather than having someone internal help make these decisions. You guys all, you have the resources and probably relieve a ton of stress from them. They can
absolutely
dictate to you what their goals are, what their challenges are, and then you're able to go out there and come up with this package solution.
And at the time, we didn't realize how important that was, what you just described. Simplifying business for the busy operator is kind of what you just described. And it's been our recipe ongoing. Customer service is the buzzword, and giving the best experience and getting results. I mean, those are all, of course, fundamental business things, but making it easy is not easy, as funny as that sounds. And we took direct mail and simplified it and said to pizza shop owners, and found a duplicatable model that worked for a lot of them, which was, you don't have to think. You can hand us your menu. I mean, we receive pizza menus written on a napkin.
Yeah.
They're not sure what coupons work, how to even attack the market. And don't worry, we'll take care of all of that for you. And then we also help you pick the right areas you want to mail to. And it's kind of, it started to feel like, as the business model evolved, that old infomercial on TV where it was like, but wait, there's more. And so we would talk to the sales pitch kind of evolved. The unique selling proposition that we brought to the table was, we were passionate about it because it was fun. We were helping small business owners, and we could really talk about all those things about making it easy, and we can help you design your menu and pick the right mailing areas. And that, but wait, there's more, became our real unique position in the market, which was, now how are you going to afford this?
Mm-hmm.
And we can spread those payments out for you, and you don't pay us until your marketing starts hitting. And there were some light bulbs that went off in that realm. And still today, our competitors kind of scratch their heads about the idea that we design a piece for any industry, a pizza shop, an automotive repair shop, you name it. And we print the pieces, we warehouse the pieces. And before we even get them out into the mail stream, we haven't collected a penny from our customers. So that's big and scary in the business world when you think about getting burned.
Yeah, sure.
But we figured out a model that really just works. And the most important part of that is giving the business owner an experience of positive cash flow, and getting marketing working for you before you shell it all out up front.
Yeah, I mean, that's quite unique. Every other platform that we advertise with, it's all upfront money, and you just hope it works. And there's no pivoting or changing, right? It's but your guys' position is more you're a partner with them, right? And
we take that very seriously, and it's not easy at times to be the best partner for every pizza shop in America or auto repair shop in America. But what we've also learned, and call it a game-changing moment, and it happened recently in 2017, where we tried to be everything to everyone. So let me pause there for a second. I'll come right back to that. But what we did is in 2011. So I kind of, just to transition back to the story.
Yes, you found this guy in Houston. He was printing all your mail, right?
Right.
Were they mailing it out for weekly too? Were they warehousing it?
They were doing everything. And so they really helped us get the business model sound. And in 2010, probably a paper sales rep, copier sales rep came to our office. The first office was in my basement. Then we went to about a 400 square foot pizza shop kind of a squatting sublease situation.
Okay, one of your clients, yep.
I hired my first sales rep, and my wife didn't really want him coming to our basement every day. So we found this 400 square feet, and then we went to, I think, 3,000 square feet when we hired employees 2 and 3. And so we got to about 2010, and we had this 3,000 square foot row home office, and a paper sales rep selling copiers and things like that came in and said, "What do you guys do?" And we had grown the business fairly substantially at that point. I think our revenue was around $2 to $3 million in that within 2 years, which, you know, is in reflection is pretty incredible, because it's hard. Business is hard, and starting new business is difficult.
And it's a sales grind business, right? I mean, you're door knocking. You're still got to convince them of this business model that still like new to a lot of people.
Right. And it was a lot of cold calling, because we could cover the whole country, which was another fascinating part of the model. You know, it opened up a large amount of prospects, but how do you get in front of them? How do you educate them? And, you know, and so sometimes we forget to look back and reflect, and let's call it pat ourselves on the back. But to go from 0 to 2 million in a couple of years, you know, of course, that's where you should say, okay, wow, we've got something. And in the startup days, you don't think, you just shovel and go.
Yeah, it's all, every day is what matters. It's hard to sit back and reflect and appreciate too what you have. You're always kind of looking forward and challenging yourself versus sitting back saying, wow, you know, we did a good job, or appreciate what you got. So that's good.
You know, and talking about how do you scale a business, you know, in those moments, you're not really thinking clearly on that. You're just kind of grabbing and chasing, and you're, you know, hopefully making smart choices, but it's not clear. You just know you have something. And so, you know, you can look back and be proud of what you accomplished, but you can also look back and be like, wow, I really didn't know much about much. And so in that paper sales rep that came in said, wow, how do I get your paper purchase? You know, and he wasn't talking about the copiers anymore. He wanted the big paper business that was happening in Texas. And so I said, well, I don't have any control over that and this and that. He went as far to tell me that they have a division of their company that, for no charge to me, would do an analysis to see what it would take to bring production in-house. And I loved that notion. So I had some passion that I didn't even know about for this whole idea of creating and building and producing. And so I really had an itch for that. And I said, well, what do I have to lose? You know, he can run a report for me. And so the report was very thorough. It ended up, you know, showing me what kind of building, what kind of people, what kind of machines, all extremely overwhelming things to most people. And I think to be a true entrepreneur, you have to be a little crazy. So I looked at it and said, this is awesome. And the margins get better. And there's a lot of scary unknowns, but I want to go for this. And so then that's, you know, another game-changing moment. Okay, I love this on paper. Now, how do I do it? And that's kind of where that took us to getting into in-house production, which, you know, was first, how do you get money? How do you borrow $2 million when you don't have money? You know, and how do you scale? How do you find people that know how to run machines? How do you buy machines? How do you buy a warehouse? You know, like, where do I go from here? And how do I transition from a great vendor in Texas who became a partner, not, you know, as far as equity, but just a true asset to where we got to, and transitioning the business away from them. So there was just a lot in that little moment in my life that took shape. And, you know, some of it, again, was just putting my nose down and shoveling it. And some of it was, you know, finding the value of professional services and great vendors, and, you know, leaning on people that, you know, you don't have an expertise, you find the person that does.
Yep. Yep. There's a great book, Who Not How, which,
yes,
if you read that, but it's all about, right. It's who's going to help me with this problem, not how am I going to do it. Right. Because the how is always then becomes, you know, you spread yourself too thin. You only can do so much, but by the who is you leverage, you know, the people around you who are better at certain things than you would be.
What's funny is we all know that too, but we don't know, like, until Dan Sullivan, who I think is the author.
And I went, Hardy,
I went to Dan Sullivan's class in Toronto as part of my journey of trying to grow up as an entrepreneur. And so I was in the class when Dan Sullivan came in front of us and said, okay, everyone, you paid a lot of money to be here. I've got it. It's revolutionary. And he just said, it's the who, not the how. And he stopped and he had this stoic look and he was like, huh? And it's such a deep comment, right? It's just such a deep concept. And now he's written a book about it. And, and it's an amazing thing. I didn't know that was happening a lot when I was doing it, but to be intentional with the thought process now, it really is empowering, right? Yep. Because if you're, instead of saying, oh, how could we ever do that? You just say, who can help me with that? And it's so amazing. So
it's
funny you brought that up
too, because sometimes your first instinct is, how am I going to do this? But then you got to continue to remind yourself, or at least I do, that it's the who, and then that's how we're going to accomplish it. And it's that repetition that I think it's a muscle that you build, is that mindset to think that way.
And Dan really brought it to be an intentional thought for me and for many people out there that have read the book.
When did you go to that? What year?
That was 2018, actually. So not too long ago. So, again, in reflection from what you learn in trainings like that, you're like, well, I kind of was doing that, but I didn't really know I was doing it.
Now there's a name to it.
Yeah. Now we call it this thing. And, talking about many of the who's that got us to where we're at in starting your own production facility, I had to figure out who knows how to run machines, buy machines. And we, there's some lucky moments in business and some reflections where you look back and say like, wow, how did that come to happen? And our vice president of production is, she had 30 years in the business, and I was fortunate enough to network and cross paths and convince her that she should join me. And that's,
she was the first person. She was like the person who was charged of the production. Cause really you started a whole new business, right? You were before just sales and marketing design, right? And then you said, all right, we're going to get into manufacturing. Really?
Exactly right.
I mean, it's huge machinery, it's production, it's warehousing. I mean, it's a whole nother dimension, different type of business too.
It's exactly right. And she was the first, and she helped to build the team. So it was the who finding more who's. And it was incredible because it's a big, scary thing to take a successful business model and dump it on its head in year 2.
Yeah. And say, well, pivot, because it could have failed, right? I mean, your cost couldn't have been, you couldn't have, it could have been a disaster.
So, I think there's a lot of luck in that, and there's perseverance, and there's a lot of skill too that you at the time you didn't realize exactly what you had in your tool bag, but to put it together is something I'm proud of, that as I reflect on it. But so Tindra is our VP of production, and she said, okay, I'm buying what you're selling, I like this, I think I can help you, and so what's the next steps? And I said, well, I'll take care of getting the things we need. You need to tell me what we need and who we need to produce what we're producing. So that was the good part. I knew what we had, and I knew the products we needed to produce. I knew that success we were having, and so I said, I need to do this, exactly this. So that was a little head start, because with 30 years experience, she said, well, that's easy.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, well,
okay,
shit. Okay,
good. Were you trying to produce every product? You mean like the plastic, paper, magnet, punch cards, calendars? Like you were going to have a machine to make everything that you sold.
And at the time it was a little easier. Yeah. So we only had 4 core products, which was menu, a postcard, and a scratch off postcard, and a magnet. And so we had a fairly simplified model. And today, even like commercial printers offer any type of paper or any type of anything. If you want to be everything to everyone, that's the commercial print world. We really focus on the industries that we know we can serve best, and the products that we know are going to work best. So that helps everyone. It goes back to the whole thing we were talking about, simplifying the offering, knowing that you should do this. This is what works. It's so powerful to owner operators that don't have time to think about that stuff. And so we probably have, like today, fast forward, maybe 15 to 20 products, but commercial printers probably have thousands, so we've been able to pick the things that we believe in and know can help the industries we serve best. And so that was a really interesting moment of transition from outsourced to in-house. And there were so many moving parts. We had to bring, as part of the model, a post office on site.
Oh, wow.
And so the mail gets produced, That's part of it. That's what Tindra knew how to do. I can do all this stuff, but how do you mail it? Well, I don't know. So what do? You walk into a post office and say, hey, how do I get an on-site post office? And you start asking questions, and then, well, you need to talk to this person, and then you need to talk to that person. And in the meanwhile, we're still running a business the old way, outsourcing it and keeping our customers happy. And you can't allow on the surface the chaos that's happening below to be shown, or else your business is going to be disrupted. So that was a great lesson too, to how do you, work your 9 to 5 and then behind the scenes.
Yeah. Work on massively growing this thing and yeah.
Find the hours for that.
Were you the person trying to figure out the post office, or did you have somebody with that?
No, so that was really fell on my shoulders. And the who in that equation, I guess you would say, was the resources at the post office. And so once I told them who I was and what I was trying to accomplish and the volumes I already had, so that was the key to that game. Mm-hmm. They said, well, here's exactly the paperwork. Here's what it looks like. Because
prior to that, they weren't getting any of the business, right? Because it was all mailed out of Houston. So now you're moving all that to them. Did that play a factor?
They were excited about it because the USPS, the United States Postal Service, is the United States Postal Service. So revenue's revenue for them.
Okay.
But it was twofold. To bring the revenue from Houston to Reading, Pennsylvania, that postal facility in that region of people was excited because that, it was a new endeavor for them. It wasn't for that organization about the sales per se, but the excitement of a project coming to their area. So it was a little bit of a shift of dollars in their world, but I grew up in Reading, Pennsylvania. And to match the excitement and to see the vision of like, hey, I think this is going to require a lot more employees. I'm going to be able to grow and create jobs in my backyard where I grew up. There was this feel good moment there that continues today. As we mentioned, have 110 employees, that, a lot of them are people that I either knew growing up or, it's amazing the small world we all live in, isn't that cliche? But, so that's, that fell onto my shoulders. I learned the ins and outs of postal intelligence and verifying mail and trucking and some of the things that had to go into the logistics side of what I described as the business model. We print 10,000 menus for somebody, put them on a shelf, and then mail 1,000 a week over 10 weeks. How do we do that? And so there was a lot to that component. And ultimately, in 2012, we had a building, we had a core production team through Tindra's vision and building out her team of who we needed. And we got off the ground by slowly taking pieces from our outsourced producer and producing what we knew we could do for that week. And it got to the point where it was one of the hardest discussions or business dialogues I had to have with the business owner in Houston that I had been working closely with, where he's, at some point when we kept taking more of the business, he called me up and it's like, Brian, what's going on? Is everything okay? I'm worried about you. Where's the volume?
And then you broke it to him.
And that's where we had the heart to heart. There was a big moment of risk in that moment because I had a lot of pieces on his shelf in Houston that were already produced and ready to be mailed out. And the emotional side of business can take you somewhere that's dark sometimes. And so I was hoping that he would be professional and say, oh, I'm so happy for you. And wow, you're going to do great things. And in the meanwhile, of course, I'll mail all these pieces I have that I already produced for you. And to his credit, he did a lot of that and then was shocked and upset and handled it extremely professionally. And I'll never forget that as we all build character in ourselves and, learn from moments of how other people handled situations. He was a little shell-shocked at first, but also called me back and wished me well and was excited for me and asked if he could help in any way to let him know and help me transition the business away from him. So
and he's got
pretty
to
amazing.
At a certain point you outgrow him, right? I mean, it becomes, a financial and quality control and all the other factors that you got to take it in-house at some point if you have the capability to do so.
Yes and no. I mean, each model may dictate a little different picture because the guy that ran the analysis that said I should go in-house ran that same analysis for a lot of companies that had it in-house and didn't do it efficiently and actually could have made more money outsourcing it. So it's an interesting equation. Not everyone's great at manufacturing. It's quite a complicated process. And Now I could say we're great at it. We were learning for a long time and probably very wasteful in many moments.
So what are the challenges that you're facing these days?
Yeah. So, the business scales, and it's actually, I told you I'd come back to this, and it's a perfect question to come back to it with. And the 2017 moment of realization that we shouldn't continue to try to be more than we are. And we were heading down a slippery slope of that because we started to be comfortable in manufacturing. And we said, well, it's paper and ink and machines. Like, we're good at this now. Whoever wants to print something or mail it, we should do it for them. And so we got into heavy pay-per-click advertising, direct mail, cheap direct mail, low price direct mail, and leads were flooding in. And so and in one way you could say, wow, that sounds like a recipe for success. You've got the foundation, you've got the machines, you know how to do it. And we started really becoming inefficient. We didn't know how to talk the talk to, like we did with the pizza shop owner. And we just were finding our close rates were going down. Our sales reps didn't have enough time in the day because they were just chasing money that wasn't really there. And so we took a hard look in the mirror, and we were actually, in the moment, we were still being very successful in the journey. It was just, we were feeling this thing in our,
it was overwhelmed or disorganized, or just wasn't the vision right that you had.
Yeah, it was falling apart. So and that's scary too. As you have success, there's dollars to play with, and you can really send your organization down a bad path. And so we were heading there. And kudos to Josh Davis, who is our CRO, and he was the sales rep that couldn't work in my basement. But he is still he's a visionary as well, and he just sees the right way to chase business. And really, the marketing team we had on in-house and our whole team, we just said, Josh drove this ship, and he said, we need to stop. We need to stop this. And we said, we need to do what we did with pizza, get back to the grassroots of things, and be great at what we do for a specific industry. And so automotive repair shops became the next big chase around that time. And we had already had a lot of those clients, so we had learned that we could be great with that. But we also learned that when an automotive repair shop called us, we didn't speak the right speak. Mm-hmm. We didn't understand deep enough the real pain points. Like when I sat down with that pizza shop owner, what moves you? Like, what do you really need? And what offers make you successful? And where are your pain points today? And so Josh and team did a 6-month deep dive just into research and understanding and joining organizations and networking and finding the gurus in the industry and really understanding what it is in that space, and then saying, okay, here's how we add value, and then training our team, sales reps, customer service, all the way down through on how to be great at this industry. And when we did that, we fast forwarded light years once we launched it in that industry. And it's now, fast forward that to today, and how do we scale this thing and where do we go? We've got a lot of dental clients. We're about to, we've attacked the research on that, and we're about to launch there. And we see now a pattern of being able to duplicate within probably another 5 to 10 industries, a very healthy approach to helping them. So as cliche as that might be, our whole game and recognition of value came from, of course, what we're able to deliver to the client. And, so we could offer printing and mailing of a postcard to an automotive repair shop, but that wasn't enough. And it's what a lot of our competitors still do today. It is enough. You can get some business, but you're not going to be great at it, and you're not going to scale it. And now we've got a foundation. Now we've got a plan, and we feel better coming into 2021 than we have in many, many years in the history of the company about how we get to the next level and what that means. And not to get too all over the place here, but we've really, with COVID, taken an intentional look in the mirror as to who we are as a company, every expense in the company. Yeah. And we're really now poised for the most intentional approach to business that we've ever had, I feel, which is feels really, really good.
Yes. What I heard, I guess, was unique or new to me too. So it's rather than trying to be everything to everyone, right? You're researching what industry you want to be in. right? What clients you think have the biggest need, and then really trying to understand what their needs and desires and challenges are, right? And but attacking it kind of one at a time, rather than just,
exactly.
A lot of people, hey, here's just this blast, here's this blanket approach, and we'll see what fish we catch. I think it's pretty interesting and smart, that very intentional, direct advertising and direct research, and then it's, you can share your success, right? Hey, we have all success with other auto guys. We can do the same for you. We have the success with dentists. Here's the plan. If you can track ROIs and your penetration rates are and all these different things, right? You can share their statistics, and it's relevant, right? Because the stats for a pizza shop are going to be different than a repair shop and a dentist and a gym, right? So I think the data behind it, and then also the clear understanding of the needs is what makes it unique. So.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head, and we recently intentionally gave it a name. And it's nothing like rocket science, but we looked at ourselves as a startup for the first 11, 12 years, and now we're an industry leader.
Okay. Yeah.
And so that transition is not one that we were paying attention to or understanding. And what does it mean to our internal team and the company culture?
Yep.
Somebody that grew up in the company has that organic passion. Someone that starts new today has a different vibe about who Mailshark is and where we're going. And then it all reflects into this, what we deliver to our clients. And it's not easy to understand, which industry you should go after or fulfill all the needs of those industries. There's a lot of assumptions you can make in business to say, well, I know automotive repair shops need this, and I'm great at that, so I'm going to just go full steam ahead. And to stop, and really what it feels like for, especially for entrepreneurs that are anxious to chase the horizon, the never-ending just paddling the canoe and never getting there. It's hard to stop the canoe and just really do homework for 6 months when you feel like maybe you know better. And I know I could help automotive repair shops. Why do we have to be so intentional? Why do we have to do research? It's actually, quite frankly, it's one of my weaknesses. I'm not a big fact finder. I'm not one that wants to go do a lot of homework. I want to go. And maybe that's there's strengths and weaknesses within that. But Josh Davis and team love the homework. And they know if they can convince me to stop for a minute, that we're going to come out so much better on the back end of this. And so I listened and was able to be handcuffed and control myself. And really, he has continued to prove, day in and day out, that vision. And now we've proven he was right. And the automotive repair shop industry for us is gangbusters. We're doing really well there. And we just feel so good again about the intentional approach moving forward into those next industries. And it doesn't mean we're going to hit a home run also, so the feel goods in business don't, mean much until the execution happens. Yep.
And for us, I'm one of your, auto clients. You guys mail out about 600,000 pieces last couple of years. We're actually working on buying some more stores. So that number will probably get closer to 1 million pretty soon. And, we see a great return. It's when we don't do the mailing, but we did it last year, we can see the difference in our sales, in our traffic and our calls. And, we're able to track unique call, like it's a unique marketing number through a service that we use. So we can actually track how many calls we got and listen to the calls, because they're all recorded, to know by what mail piece, whether they came from the web or they came from, one of your pieces. There's a direct ROI that we don't get that insight with other means like digital and radio. So
there's a lot of things in that statement. First of all, thank you for your business. We don't say that enough to any clients, and that's part of the scaling and of business. It is something that we have a passion for, a burning passion for, treating our customers' dollars like they're our own. And so, whether it's 10,000 pieces or 1 million pieces, we really enjoy the journey still, which is also part of the game. Is like, can you be passionate about this 12 years into it? Do you see where you're going? And can I get excited about helping you with your Midas stores the same way I get excited about that next pizza shop that we pick up? And it's an incredibly lucky and fortunate place to be in life when you can get out of bed and be excited about that journey. And helping small business owners across the country is kind of the core value behind that for all of us. And so, we really appreciate your business is the first thing I wanted to say there. But the direct mail part of it that you talked about and the response rates, that's another interesting topic, because digital marketing, is fast and furious. There's a new thing, excuse me, coming out every week, every month. It's a threat to our business and it's an opportunity. But what we're still finding, and a little bit of a bias statement to warn the audience, is, we of course believe in direct mail, but it continues to, if you do it right and you take the time to learn the audience, in our case, the industry, and who their target customers should be, what kinds of pieces they should be mailing, and how they should do proper direct mail, the results are there, and I think that's part of the, repeat business. Every business that wants to scale has to prove a model that can have continued, you want to get new customers, but that old leaky bucket thing, if I can't prove to you, Brian, that, direct mail is worthy, the million pieces you were mailing today could go away tomorrow.
Yep.
So, we have to have that burning passion to not just take your business, but to improve your business, to try to work with you. And you've been, not only a great client, but someone that I can call and say, hey, how do you look at your ROI? And how can we help you get a better glance at the response rates you're talking about? And if we could give you this tool, would that be helpful? And besides that, could you tell us exactly what your expertise is in your industry so that we can build it properly? And so those dialogues and consultative approaches with our clients are, really where it's at to get to the next level.
Yep. Are you at capacity, in your capacity? How much more can you guys do out of your existing facility? I mean, any challenges there you're running into, or? Yeah,
great question. So real estate's, the couple things I didn't touch on was borrowing money. I touched on it briefly. How do I get $2 million? That's an interesting journey for scalability. And there's SBA, and there's I have 3 daughters. So I just personally guarantee my daughters, and then they give you money, and nothing scary about that. But that's a big, interesting journey in business. You can get it from private equity. You can get it from, relatives. There's a lot of ways to find money. It's not just as simple as walking into a bank and saying, hey, I need a loan.
Yep.
And so that I'll probably just leave that there, but maybe for another time we can, do a whole 2-hour seminar on how to borrow
financing
money.
and private equity and seller financing and all the ways you can make or raise capital is a huge topic. Yeah.
But it was an interesting journey, and it made me think of that because we've had expansion happening constantly throughout the journey here. And so we have 170,000 square feet today, as you mentioned. And we, at the end of 2019, just trying to remember the dates, we had, I'd say about 90,000 square feet. And then we went into a new space that was 110,000 square feet and eliminated 30,000 square foot space. So we ended up with 170,000 recently. And we think it can service us for up to another 5 years. And that's as far as I like to look. So I guess it can service us for the foreseeable future. But I also purchased some land where we have 2 buildings now. We do production in one, and then we truck the mail for fulfillment to the other. It's actually very efficient, but there's this bigger, better way when it's fiscally responsible to do it all under one roof. And so that's a journey in itself to scale this thing. But I have kind of thought about that in the future and acquired some land that could be that component if I ever need it. And I did it smart. And so I could sit on it if I need to, but I have a plan. And that's not always the case with, as I described in my journey. There's not always a plan.
Yeah, so sometimes you commit and then you figure out later how to do it.
Yeah, but the short answer to your question is we feel really great, not only about the strategic nature of where we're headed next, but the ability to handle any amount of new volume as it's starting to come in.
Yeah, cool. Great. Well, yeah, thanks for sharing all that. You guys have a great story. One of the questions is, do you have a book recommendation, something that on business, investing, mindset, something that you think you've had a lot of impact on you? Yeah.
So the who, not the how is, I'm glad you brought that up. That wasn't the one I was going to talk about, but I'm just love the common denominator there, especially since I got to sit in that class. But the advantage is a great book, Peter Lancioni. It's about organizational health, trumps everything else in business. And I don't think that's the exact subtitle, but again, going from that scrappy startup company to an industry leader has its challenges, and people have their challenges, and embracing people's strengths and having them in the right seat within the business to swim with the current is kind of what that book really touches on. And the biggest takeaway from the book is the pillar of trust at the bottom, the foundation of trust, and then gets into clarity of mission. So without trust, you can't really start to communicate
they
properly.
Gotta trust you, and you got to trust them, and it's it's the key part of being a team working together.
And so that's what we're really focused as an organization. And we think organizational health, which we think we have a lot of, but there's always work to do there, is going to reflect on what the client feels from us. And that it's just a big harmonious circle of, with 110 people, it doesn't always just work, like there's a lot of work to do to make it flow properly. And, but catching the areas for improvement. I recently researched Kaizen, which is basically a more of a manufacturing means of doing business, where I believe it's Japanese for like small changes, or good small changes, and listening to every employee. And they might just, if your ears are open to their small suggestions, it's the 100 small suggestions that make the train move forward.
Yeah. Is that what Toyota adopted?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, that's right. And which, has helped them grow significantly, right? In the culture and the mindset. And
I think Giorgio Mushrooms is a local Reading, Pennsylvania company that's huge, and has also adopted that mindset. And if you drive through Kutztown area, you'll smell a horrific smell, and that's the mushrooms. But it's they have a very successful business.
Yeah, great. Well, yeah, I'd look forward to hearing how that changes your guys' business over the next year or two. The time frame is great. So how can listeners connect, find out more about Mailshark?
Yeah, the mailshark.com, of course, is our website. And, we have the Facebook and Twitter, which I believe you'll post onto this.
Yep. I'll get in the show notes.
Any of the social channels. And we are in a lot of the major publications within the industries. So you can look out for our advertising. We do a lot of our own direct mail. So, we hope our advertising reaches, people as well. But at any time, I always welcome people to contact me directly, and I might be opening the floodgates on that, but I love it. Like I told you, I love business. I love talking to people. I love hearing how their story has evolved, and how, just as you're doing here and with your platform, I appreciate you having me on. And so if I can connect with other people personally too, it's a passion of mine. So bjohnson@themailshark.com is my email address as well. And we just really are excited about the chapters ahead. And thank you for having me today and letting me talk about what I love.
Yeah, great. Well, thanks again for sharing your story. It's a great one. And I think that's all we got.
All right, Brian.
Cool.
Appreciate it.